I mean, I kind of joke about, but could you imagine dentists saying, hey, I just revert to what was done to me 20 years ago? It's like, wait a second here. So welcome to Unleashed Learning TV and Unleashed Learning Radio for our podcast listeners. Hello to everyone. Now, if your school is working to move from good to great, here's a little secret that could help make this happen. Focus on new teacher success. Why? Well, I'm glad you asked, because on today's episode, we're going to explain both the why and the how. To do that, we've got Julia Bennett Wilson, who's the District Induction Coordinator for the San Diego Unified School District, which is one of the largest school districts in the United States. Now, if you're a leader, mentor of new teachers, or coordinator of new teacher induction, this episode is for you. Okay, so Julia, my friend, welcome back to Unleashed Learning TV.
Hi, William.
Now, Julia, as you know, what we do at Unleashed Learning is we help good schools become great schools by unleashing the teaching team's teaching potential. But we're also working with the new teachers, the experienced teachers, and the leaders right over 3 years. And one of the things that you and I are passionate about, and I know helps make good schools great schools, is the ways people think about induction, right?
Absolutely.
Supporting new teachers. So that's why I want to talk to you. And this episode is really for the mentors and the leaders of the school who are trying to ensure that new teacher induction is a very top priority to go from good to great.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my first question with all of your expertise is, we often hear, oh, the new teachers don't know what they need to do, or like the university to do their stuff, but they bring such gifts to our profession. So I thought I'd start from that perspective. What are the gifts you see that new teachers bring to our system?
They bring so many wonderful gifts. They spark life into our current teaching system with their innovation. They're very innovative. They're open to new ideas. They have a deep sense of equity and justice, and they really want to give back and make sure that they're supporting all students. And so they're just kind of wide open, and they're open for suggestions. They want to collaborate, and they're willing to try new things, which is really important in education.
Yeah, and I think about that new life and new energy that is good for all of us. Doesn't mean that people that are already there don't have that life and energy, but they're bringing new information and new ideas. And I love that you said they have a commitment to equity and justice. How great is that?
Yes.
How great is that? Okay, let's do a happy dance to that.
Yeah.
So I want us to think about, what do you see? Because you work with new teachers, right? You do induction. You've done this for many years. So what are the challenges you see them facing today?
One of the main things that I see with new teachers is just kind of being on cognitive overload. There's a lot of information that comes at them. There's a lot of things to think about. Everything's new in certain ways. And so I see a lot of stress as a result of cognitive overload. And sometimes stress comes from having to do things differently than what they've experienced in school. We are at the point in education where we really need to be innovative and creative about how we approach our students, how we approach instruction. And so a lot of times we do what we know. And so sometimes what we experienced in the classroom isn't necessarily relevant to what the kids need today. And so that's a little stressful, realizing, oh no, I have to do things differently than what I'm familiar with. So.
And I was thinking, when you said about the cognitive overload, I think that if there's a new teacher listening to that, one of the things I would like to say, I'm probably speaking for you too, is to say how normal that is.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, one of the things I hear from an Unleashed Learning perspective is often the new teacher stress, and actually all the stress for the school drops because they have a way to organize their thinking, which we like happy dance for that. So, so cognitive overload, very normal when you're on a new adventure, right? In many ways. The question I've got here is, we were asking as a team too, is, the research is a lot of new teachers drop out in the first 5 years. But I've also saw something that's, I think, a little bit even more concerning, which you connected to, and I've seen it. If there isn't great induction the first 2 years, they revert to what school was like for them. So they've got degrees, and they revert to what they have experienced. So first of all, do you see that too? Have you heard that?
Yes. And I've experienced it myself.
Yes.
It's natural for us as humans. We have ingrained patterns and habits of habits of mind and behaviors that we bring to us in what we do. And so often when things are new and we're learning how to teach and how to work with students, we just revert to those habits and patterns. And so it's really important to be able to have an induction program that supports teachers where they are, but also provides them with like a mentor to give them feedback, just so that they have a different perspective, different ideas and feedback based on, what they're doing well, but also where can they go next, and how can they shift and create habits and new behaviors where they need to be created.
Well, what I'm thinking right now is it takes a community of support for that to happen. And I kind of joke about, but could you imagine dentists saying, hey, I just revert to what was done to me 20 years ago? It's like, wait a second here. So it's really important those communities of practice are put around the new teacher to help, move forward. So one of the questions I've got, and we've talked a lot about this, is what I've personally noticed is that new teachers are often put into professional development, but often it's not the stage where they're at. So they'll say to us from an Unleashed Learning perspective, it's so useful to have PD that's just for me for where I'm at. So I'm curious, why do you think it's so important as an induction coordinator that new teachers have professional learning that's focused on who they are and where they're at in the career?
Well, we differentiate instruction for our students and in the classroom. And so it would make sense that differentiation is part of the professional development that we provide our new teachers. Teaching happens along a developmental continuum, just like learning does. And so everyone's at different phases of this developmental continuum. And, it can change based on switching grade levels, content areas. So it doesn't matter if you're brand new or if you've been teaching for a while. Sometimes we move backwards and forwards along that continuum. And so it's really important that the professional development that all teachers have is based on adult learning theory and based on their own needs. So they need to be looking at their practice, assessing where they are, and then really being able to have the information given to them in manageable pieces for where they are, and so that they can apply what they've learned. A lot of times in professional development, information is given to us, and then it's like, great, that's awesome. But then going and trying it on is it's a whole nother issue. So a lot of times when professional development is differentiated and teachers can really try it on again with that feedback, in that community, then we really see shifts in practice. We see shifts in habits and patterns, and amazing things are happening because all kids are being reached, because all teachers are being reached.
Makes me think of like that hidden curriculum we talk a lot about, but the light side is helping new teachers go, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. You're feeling that way too, right? That's part of the hidden curriculum. Hopefully good PD for new teachers is going to do that. So, okay, Julia, what in all of it with the craziness happening, what supports new teacher success in the world we're living in right now?
There's a lot of different things that support new teacher success. One of the things that's probably the most important is, you mentioned it earlier, is that connection, community. So making sure that they're not isolated, because as you mentioned, when we feel like we're alone, we have a tendency to isolate ourselves. And it's really important that they get connected, ask questions, that they be open to, different ideas. Pairing them with a mentor is just absolutely such a phenomenal way to build both teachers' practices. It benefits the new teacher, but it also benefits the mentor, just to provide each other with that feedback and those ideas. So those pieces are absolutely critical. And also making sure that they're in a system that's comprehensible, where there is that common language, because we live in an amazing age with tons of information, and sometimes it can just be too much. And so being in a system that speaks the same language, that has a common goal, that teachers are aware of, that they're a part of, makes all the difference for new teachers.
One of the things I'm most proud of from the Unleashed Learning perspective is it provides that, and people tell us their cognitive load is dropping. we're all overwhelmed with this digital age we're living in. I mean, I can't imagine being a new teacher today without that kind of structure in place. And also the mentor, Charlotte Kutzner, Poway Unified. If it wasn't for her, I would have quit.
Right.
So a great mentor, which brings us to our last question. I mean, you've really worked with more people than probably could even count. And you're talking about the mentor, these gifts. What makes for a great new teacher mentor?
New teacher mentors really need to have a strong foundation of adult learning theory. Just recognizing that the teacher that they're working with is bringing so many strengths to the table, and that they come with a wealth of we call them in our students funds of knowledge. Our teachers come with the same funds of knowledge experiences, and so sometimes it's a little bit of a mind shift for us as mentors, because I'm a mentor myself. I have to really shift the way that I am thinking about my new teacher and really look at what I can learn from them. That is one thing that's really important. And then listening is absolutely probably the next most critical skill. Our goal as mentors is to build independence and facilitate independence in our new teachers. And so recognizing that the new teachers are in the driver's seat, so to speak, that the work is driven by them is really important as well. We sometimes have our agendas as adults or experienced teachers. We can see things, and, we can see areas that are like, oh, wow, I really wish I want, but then it becomes about us and not about the new teacher. And the new teacher should be the one in the driver's seat. And all of the research really points to the fact that when we empower our teachers and we encourage and grow the strengths that they have, and then they just bloom and blossom into teachers that reach all students.
Which was what we want. I love when they have a common language, so that we talk about the ship, right? So they know what the ship is, then they can they have at least a common language around that work, and the mentor knows they have a lens of it as well. I keep thinking too about empathy when you're talking. I think about a great mentor. Just makes me think of empathy. Okay. Yeah. Time for some rapid fire questions, Julia. Okay. My first one real quick is your favorite teacher.
Mrs. McGee, my second grade teacher.
I won't ask how long ago, but I just love that we remember that. It could come across wrong, but you know what I mean? Like, remember these people, right? Who has most influenced your learning journey?
Parker Palmer. You and I have our common love for him. He really is just so amazing, and focusing on the spiritual aspects of teaching as well.
I got to interview him to launch Unleashed Learning TV this year. So if people haven't watched that episode, I'd really encourage them. I was honored. Okay, last one. Thinking about the work you do, what is the one thing you really want to stick?
I want habits of mind to stick in my new teachers, and for them to know that they're just amazing in what they bring to the work that they do. So that is my ultimate goal in my work with new teachers.
Fantastic. Julia, thank you for what you do. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, William. Thanks for what you do.
So now we want to hear from you. And our question is this. We want to know, what does your school, district, or network do to support new teacher success? So we're going to invite you to jump over the comments section and join the conversation. And while you're there, grab your free ebook. And as always, thank you for the ways you make learning stick for everyone.